Hello, good morning, everyone. I hope that you all are good, happy, sound, healthy, and content at wherever you are. This is your host, Himanshu Kaushik, and I heartily and sincerely welcome you in today's webinar on demo of DevOps, building a CI/CD pipeline for a web application. And I hope that you're also as intrigued as I am to attend this webinar. So before we move on and learn a lot more through the session today, we have our expert here with us. So I shall introduce you to our expert. We have Mr. Nitish Kumar Sharma. He is a subject matter expert working with Zebia for past 1 year. He is a professional cloud DevOps engineer with 4 years of experience and has worked in IT and service industry as well. He is versed and skilled in Linux, Python, Git and GitHub, Travis, Jenkins, and many others. He has done his BTech in electrical, focused on computer science from AIET, Jaipur, Rajasthan. So, sir, it is a pleasure for us to be here in the session. And now with this, I would like you to kindly take over the screen. And sir, before you proceed, just last 2 seconds before you proceed with the session, I want all the participants to know that you can post in your questions in chat box, in Q&A box, or you can directly raise your hand so that we can allow you to have a healthy chat session, an informative chat session with our expert here. So with this, sir, I would like you to take over the screen and looking forward for an amazing session.
Thank you, Mashi.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think screen is usual, guys. So today our agenda is to know the DevOps. What is the DevOps? And the agenda is to maybe to get aware about the DevOps. And I have a PPT there, so I'm going to show you. I'm going to walk you through about the DevOps, why we need DevOps, and the history of DevOps, like why we need, and the DevOps culture, why we are following in IT industry, and what our IT industry has the benefits with the DevOps. So everything we are going to know today. And apart from this, at last we are going through with a demo session where we are going to create pipelines for a web application, which is we are going to use Java application. We are going to use Java application for our demo. So let me just okay. So what is DevOps? So basically, DevOps is it's not like a tool, or it's not like a technology. It's like a culture, or what we can say, it's like a methodology which we use in the industry to achieve our software, like creation of the softwares and delivering the softwares, everything which we do in the IT industry. So let me explain. So this is the combination of two words, which is development and operations. So development, basically you do the application development, you write the coding, you do the testing and everything, which is a part of development. And operation means you monitor your applications, like it's working fine or not, right? And how we manage the infrastructure for our applications, right? How we deploy the applications. So these are the part of operation. So that's why we called it combination of both development and operations.
Sir,
So this is
so I'm very sorry to interrupt. May I ask you to kindly put the PPT on slideshow mode?
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I think it is visible, right?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay. So as we can see, there's written like DevOps is a combination of practices and tools designed to increase the organization ability to deliver the applications and service faster than traditional development processes. So let me discuss about some points on traditional software development processes also. So basically, we have earlier we used to have some kind of SDLC model. So there are some SDLC models, which is software development lifecycle. So software development lifecycle is a the terminology which we use in the industry when we want to create any software applications for any client or any which we want to get the services from there. And software development lifecycle is a complete terminology. It is the combination of some phases, some steps actually. So it's like whenever you do software development lifecycle, so you get some phases, like firstly you code your application, right? And you test that application, then you deploy your applications, and you monitor that application. So these are the phases which we use in our SDLC models. So previously we had multiple SDLC models. So there was a waterfall model, right? The waterfall model there was, and red, there was a spiral model there was, right? Before DevOps, I'm talking about what the other models which we used to have, and industry were using those models to deploy our applications or to develop the applications. So these are the basic models we used to have in earlier time, but the most famous model was waterfall model. So let me discuss more about waterfall model, what it is, and how the DevOps came in picture. After waterfall model, or like there was any other model after waterfall model. So let me discuss that point also. So yeah, just a second. Yeah. So let me make you understand, guys, on like here. So waterfall model. So let me discuss what is waterfall model. So waterfall model is like a sequential model. It's work like a sequential model. So like a waterfall, like how water flow from the waterfall in a sequence manner, right? So here we used to have some phases. How it's work? Like firstly, for example, just any company wants to create any software, right? Any company wants to develop any software. So what are all the phases which we have to go through while developing any software or any product? Okay, so these are the phases which we have to go through if we're working with the waterfall model. So like a requirement gathering, right? First phase is requirement gathering. So requirement gathering means the requirement gathering or analysis. This is the first phase. It means when we get the requirement from the client, or from any company, right? So we check the requirements, what we need and what tools we need. Okay, what language we have to use to write those requirements or write those tools to develop those product or projects. So these are the requirements which we have to analysis first, and after that you have a different another phase of your waterfall model, which is testing. Okay, so before testing you have to plan. So this is second phase, planning. So inside planning, what you do actually, so you do some coding of your applications, right? And or write the application code and everything inside the planning, and you plan how it should go. So these are the second phase, this is the first phase, and this is the third phase which you use. So testing is a third phase which we use while working with the waterfall model. And apart from these three phases, you have a four phases. Just a second. Yeah, so this is first phase is implementation, and fifth, implementation means you do some there are lots of testing types like smoke testing, and while working with the any product or project, you work with some environments like development environment, then testing environment, and then staging environment. So these are the environment you have to go through, and you have to implement the code for these environments in the implementation phase. And after that, let deployment phase, deploy. And at last it's a monitor or maintenance, what it is called, monitor or maintenance. So these are the phases which we usually use, right, in the waterfall model. And the drawback of this waterfall model is that the life cycle of creating any project, it's a long time. And for example, like 1 or 2 months, right, you have to follow the life cycle of this project in the case of waterfall model. And apart from this, like then another drawback of this waterfall model is that until you complete stage, first stage, you can't go on second stage. And until you complete the second stage, you can't go on next stage. So it means like you have to complete everything on stage first, and then you can go forward with the another stages. So this is the drawback. Like you can't go back. Like for example, if you have done this stage and you have done planning. So if you want to go back, right? So I got some issues there in this planning phase, and I just want to go back. So this is very difficult to go back in the previous stage. So that was the drawback with the waterfall model. And after waterfall model, another model came in picture, which was yeah. So which was a different like we just a second. So second, guys, let me open new slide. Okay. So after waterfall model, the agile model came in picture. So what is agile? Let me explain you what is agile. So agile, in that phase, like you usually have the same stages, but the drawbacks which we had in the waterfall model that improved in this stage in this model. So agile model basically usually we work with the multiple teams like development team, okay, and operation team. As we know, it's a combination of DevOps is a combination of development and operation team. So development and operation team so works together in the agile methodology, and the stages which we used to work in the waterfall model, right? So we can go further, like it's kind of a repetitive model. So repetitive model, like you have a repetitive stages. Let me explain you what it is. So for example, you are writing, you are working on this phase, okay, and these is the different phase two, and this is the different phase three. Okay. So right now you are working with this phase and you are doing some implementation, you are doing some planning, you are doing some requirement analysis with this phase. And what we do actually in the agile model, it is repetitive. It means if you are getting any issues in the next stage, you can directly go in the previous stage and you can correct that, and you can again go in the next stage. So it's like a cycle, or it's like a repetitive manner, right? So I mean, there is no issues to resolve. Like if you are getting any issues in the testing phase, or if you're getting in the dev phase, so you can go, back and resolve that, and again, go forward with that other stages. So this is the benefits which we have in the agile methodology. Agile basically comes with some kind of, scrum, so which we call scrum. Okay, so scrum, so basically it's like a sprints we use sprints. So sprints means we usually have some time interval, like as in waterfall model we used to have a release cycle like for a long period of time, like 2 month 3 month. But in the case of agile methodology, we have 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, right? It kinds of 2 weeks, 4 week sprints we usually have in the agile methodology, and then we after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, we release our like whatever that we have done until the completing of this sprint. So we release our product in the market or to the customer, and in that case there should be customers, we from there you can get feedback also, like on but the drawback of this agile methodology is that only that you can't continuously get the feedback from the customer. For example, like you have written some applications, okay, and after writing the application, you have released that application, and after releasing only you can get the feedback from the customer. But what if I want the feedback from the customers, or what if I want the feedback from any other teams, right? Like after the stage first phase or second phase, right? So for example, like I have code my application, and I just want to check with someone, customer, or some other team, like my code is working fine or not, or how should I improve anything in my code. So in that case, in the case of agile, we don't have any option to get the feedback from the teams or customer. So that's why we came with the DevOps. DevOps came in the picture, and DevOps in case of Agile, right? So the development team and operation team doesn't have the communication between to each other. Okay, so as we know, DevOps means is a combination of dev and operation team. So dev means you develop your application, and as I already told you in the beginning of this session, and operation team basically operate your application, complete the application on the cluster or on the you deploy your application. After that, how you monitor, how you get the feedback, and everything you do in the operation with the operation team. Okay, so these are the things actually which we have with the Agile. And let me just go with the DevOps now. So what is DevOps? So DevOps is a collaboration or is a, okay, let me open new slide. Okay, so DevOps. Okay, so DevOps, as we call it, is a collaboration. Okay, collaboration between dev and operation team. Okay, dev and operation team, that's the collaboration. It means both the teams can communicate to each other. They can get the feedback, like a dev team is working on different stages, and operation team is working on different stages. So dev team get the feedback from operation team, and while working with the operation team, can get the feedback from the dev team. So this is the benefits which we have with the DevOps. And apart from this, we have a continuous life cycle. So continuous life cycle means you have everything continuously. Let me discuss with the PPT. Just a second. Okay. Okay. So here you can see, right? Basically, DevOps speed up your work, whatever you are doing, right? And it is better for the organizations. Why it is better? Like it efficient. It is very efficient compared to the Agile or other method, other that methodology which we used to have in the earlier time. But the DevOps, with the DevOps, you can achieve the, if effectively you can achieve the more productivity with that application. So that's why we use the DevOps. And the collaboration, like here you can see, right? The collaboration removes the barrier between the traditionally sold teams and ensure faster delivery. So with the DevOps, you can get the faster delivery of your product. And yeah, so this is about the DevOps. Let me just, yeah. So S3, as I already explained you, it's initiated by the Patrick Devios. So he was the person who initiated the DevOps in 2009. About 9 or 8 approx. So in earlier of the 9 and late of the 8, actually he initiated that DevOps term. And after that, he came with some concepts or some methods with the DevOps. Okay, so these I already have explained you what is the Agile and how we work with the Agile, and what are the traditional methods we used to have, like waterfall and all. Okay, so with the DevOps we usually have some concepts. Okay, so these are called C's. Okay, 7 C's. So what are the 7 C's? So first is continuous development. Second is continuous integration, continuous testing, continuous deployment, and continuous feedback, and continuous monitoring, and continuous operation. As you can see, everything is repetitive, or it's called continuous, right? So in that case, right? So for example, if we get the requirement from the client or from the customers, like we have to create some software, or we have to do some software development, right? So in that case, what you can do, you can continuously do the development for your application. You can continuously integrate those features which you are creating. Okay, just a second, I'm getting some. Okay, fine. And continuous testing. So continuous testing, basically you can do continuously testing, like you can write unit test cases, you can write a small, there are lots of type of test cases. JUnit test cases, if you are writing with the Java application, Python if you are using, so you can write PyTest, and these are the type of test cases you can write for your application. So you can continuously write your application, continuously write your test cases, and you can test your application anytime, okay, with the DevOps. But it was not possible with the Agile or Waterfall, because with the Waterfall we could not able to go back on the previous stages. And with the Agile, right, so there was a no continuous feedback and continuous monitor thing, with which we don't have with the Agile. So with that DevOps, you have a continuous deployment, continuous feedback, continuous monitoring, continuous operations. So these are the 7 C's, which is very important for the DevOps. And with these 7 C's, we can achieve the DevOps process completely. Okay, so let me discuss about DevOps lifecycle, what it is, DevOps lifecycle. And like what are the tools we use with the DevOps. So these are the DevOps lifecycle. It start from planning, like first phase is a planning. So we, as we have seen already, we plan what we are going to do with the software development. Okay, what we are going to achieve. Actually, we document everything with the planning phase, and we decide which tool or which which tools, which languages, which we are going to use with that software development. So these are the planning phase. We complete as a initial of your life cycle, DevOps life cycle. And second is code. Okay, so code means basically you write your coding. You write a code for your application. Okay, so you are writing code. What it should be in either in Java or Python, any languages, right? You write the code, and after that you build that application. So there are some build tools also which you can use, right, to building those code or which you have written, right? So you have to build those code, and after building that code, you get some results, some reports on that. And this is called continuous testing. This is the fourth one, continuous testing. So you continuously do the testing for your application. Testing means so why we do testing? So if like there should be no defects, right, in your application, to get the bug free of your application, right? So we do the continuous testing for your application. What if, like, if you're not doing testing, and at last when while delivering your application, right, so we get some bugs, we get some defects, so that is not a good thing, right? So we should do continuous testing while working with the phases, right? While working with the life cycle of DevOps. Then you release your application. Release means like as we know in the real time, right? So if we work any application like Amazon, Flipkart, right, so they releases applications or any features, like if you want to update, right, so they release on that like version 1.0, right, and 2.0, like these are the major version. But usually what we have 1.1, 1.2. With the Android also you can check, like with the Android version, we have sometimes earlier we have 5.0, and these are the major version, and minor version was 5.1, 5.2, like that. Okay, so release means you release your application in the market, and customer can use those features which we updated in the current release. So this is called release. And the deploy means you deploy your application on the servers. So servers either can be on cloud, either can be on bare metal, bare on premises. So it can be on anywhere, like so you deploy your application, and after deployment, right, so how you operate those deployments. So there is a operation, like this is the part of life cycle where you operate your application. And after this phase, we have at last monitoring. Okay, so how you monitor, like for example, like you have a deployed your application in the market, and after that you check with the customer, so you got some feedback like what should be updated, what should not be updated. So in that case, you can monitor your application, everything is working fine. You can you should not compromise with the security, right? So how's the security is working with your clients and all. So these are the things we monitor, while working with the DevOps. So there are some tools also which we usually use with some specific phases, like for planning, right? So in planning phase, basically we don't do much. Actually, we just plan and make the documentation, like what we are going to plan. So there is no tool, right, to make the planning and all. Apart from that, like if we work with the coding, how you code, how you manage the code. So we have a version control systems. So version control system, basically we have a multiple version control system, SVN. We have a Git, right? On the GitHub, you manage your source code, right? So GitLab is there, Bitbucket is there. So these are the tools which we use for for managing the codes and everything. For building, it depends actually which type of application you are using. If you are using Java application, so you can use Maven. So this is the build tool. Usually we use with the Java application. So you have written some Java application and you want to build that application. So you can use Maven as a tool to build that. But if you are using Python application, so you have to use different tools. The Docker is a container tool basically, but you can build that images of application with that build. So it works as a like a deployment also, or like a build tool. Okay, so Maven is there. And continuous testing, basically you can use Selenium. So this is the Selenium tool. Okay, so Selenium basically we use for testing. So this is also for Java application. I'm just supposing we are going to use Java application our demo. So that's why I'm just explaining you what tools we usually use with the Java. So Java is for Selenium testing. So cell unit testing you can do, or you can achieve with the testing phase. And release. So how you release, right? So there is no tool. You release your application with some continuous integration, continuous deployment. So there should be some CI/CD tools, like how we are releasing. DevOps means automation actually. The first thing is automation. So everything should be automate. There should not be a manual thing. Okay. So we don't want to manual thing in DevOps while working with the software development life cycle. We need everything as a automate thing. So here we use some CI/CD tools to release your applications like Jenkins. You have a Travis. Okay, so Travis CI, Git Lab. So these works as a CI/CD tool also, and GitHub workflows. So these are the tools you can use as a CI/CD tools. Okay, there are lots of, but I'm just telling you some of the popular tools which we usually use in the industry. And apart from on the next phase is deployment. So you deploy your application with the containers, right? So you can use containers as a docker containers. Okay, so there are lots of tools you use as a containers, like there are Podman. Okay, and there are container D. So there are lots of tools, but the popular tool which I'm telling you, right? So these are the popular tools which we use to deploy our applications. And how you deploy, where you deploy. So you have some kind of infrastructures, right, where you deploy your applications, like Kubernetes. It's like tools. Okay, so it has clusters, right, where you deploy your applications on the clusters, and then after that you can operate your application with some of tools like Ansible, Shape. Okay, so Puppet. These are the operation. These are the tools. From there, like you can operate your tools, like you can make the configuration. So these are called configuration management tool also. So configuration management tool also we called it. So you can make the configuration with that, with these tools. And monitoring. Okay, so for monitoring we use NagUs. So this is the tool which we use for monitoring for our application. As I already told you, like monitoring means how you are monitoring. There is no security patch, and there is no compromise with the security, and everything you monitor with that tools. Okay, so these are the basic tools which we use. Tools and lifecycle actually I have explained you. So next, how DevOps works actually. Okay, so for example, I'm the developer. Okay, I'm the developer and I want the DevOps complete lifecycle. And how it's work actually, let me tell you. So see, so I'm developer. I have my system, local system. I'm coding. I'm doing some testing. I'm writing some codes for my applications. What I will do, I will do continuous development. So continuous development means continuously I'm writing, that code for my application. And after updating some code on the version control system. So this is the version control system, as I told you, the GitHub, Git or GitHub. Okay, so to manage the code or to manage the version control system, we use Git and GitHub. And okay, so Git and GitHub. Apart from that, like you have a continuous integration. Continuous integration means how you are integrating or how you are releasing your application. So after continuous integration, there is some tools actually I already told you, like Jenkins, right? So we can use Jenkins to continuous integration with your code. So I have updated some feature with my code, and I'm maintaining the whole code in the GitHub, or with the using of Git. So Git and GitHub is a different thing. Git is we use to manage the version control system, and GitHub host your application, like your source code actually. So this is the difference between Git and GitHub. And after integrating after integrating with your application, what you do, you do deployment. So as I already told you, there might be 2 server, 3 server, like staging also you can have. So for now, like suppose there is a testing server, there is a production server. So production server basically, it's like a server from where user can access your application directly. But with the testing server, like you internally test your application, user won't be able to access your application with the testing server. But production server, the user will be able to access your application directly. So remember this thing, basically continuous deployment. We usually have to go through some servers, like testing server, staging server, development server, and production server. So these are servers we have to go through that code actually, and at last we deploy our application on the production server. And on testing server, as we can do continuous testing and continuous monitoring. And again, that cycle is like that only, with the continuous monitoring, right? So you got some uh, got some something with your code, and that is not working fine with your application. So what you will do, you continuously monitor your application and do the feedback. And after getting the feedback, developer gets that feedback from customer, or from internal teams after doing testing, and they update the feature which is not working, or might be there's some defect, and they will work on that. And after that, they again do that update with your code, and the same process will go again. So it's like a cycle, like it will go like that only, cycle in the cycle. So everything is continuous in that case. So this is the how DevOps works. Okay. So what are the benefits which we have with the DevOps? So as I said, increase the collaboration and communication. So as I said, development team and operation team, right? So there are two kind of teams which we have, and we increase the collaboration and communication between the teams. And the faster to the market with the DevOps, we usually release our application within a week, within a continuously we deploy. Like after updating any feature, right? So we can deliver that application to the market actually. So this is very fast compared to the Agile or earlier methods that which we used to have. And the another feature is high quality software. So as we already discussed, like quality, because you are doing continuously integration testing, feedback and everything continuously. So the quality would be of your software definitely going to increase, right? So and reduce cost and risk. So how it reduce the cost and risk? So basically, as we are doing, everything is a automation, right? So you don't need multiple resources for that. Every like 1%, 2% can do that thing. So how you reduce the resources? How if we don't need much resources, so obviously we are getting the reduced cost also. So higher efficiency and productivity. So as I said, we usually get the higher productivity as we are continuously testing, deploying, and getting the feedback. So with that, higher efficiency and productivity is obvious thing, right? So with the DevOps, so these are the some basic features which we get with the DevOps. And if I talk about the roles of a DevOps engineer, so what are the roles? What are the roles of a DevOps engineer? So DevOps engineer is responsible for for complete life cycle, like to planning, to monitoring of your application. In every phase, DevOps engineer is needed. Okay. So these are the roles, some basic roles. Like they work with the development teams to build and deploy software applications that are reliable and scalable, and they identify areas of improvements in the workflows and the processes and suggest solution to optimize them. So these are the some roles for a DevOps engineer while working in the IT industry. And they continuously monitor, test software applications to ensure they are running smoothly. They troubleshoot issues that arise, work to resolve them as quickly as possible. So these are the some roles for a DevOps engineer. Apart from these roles, we have a lot roles. So just these are the basic roles which I have mentioned there. Next, if I talk about the responsibilities, so it's like a same. They collaborate with the cross-functional teams, multiple teams, development team, testing team. They collaborate them with them and ensure the software application meet the needs of a stakeholders. Okay, so it should your application always meets the needs of your client, customers, or stakeholder. And how you can achieve that? You continuously monitor or continuously do the feedbacks on that. So from like how this you can achieve your you know that application, right? And the DevOps engineer responsible for designing and implementing automation tools to streamline. Like for example, like I got the requirement from the customer, so I have to decide which tool should I use, which tool should I not, because for the single thing, okay, I have a multiple tools, so I have to do my own research, and then I have to fix, like I have to decide which tool should I use, which is good for this requirement, which is not good for this requirement, from where I can save some cost. So everything I have to manage from my own. Okay. And they manage and maintain cloud infrastructure to ensure the security. So as I said, right, you have to deploy your application on the infrastructure where you have developed, like it can be on premises or it can be cloud. So you have to decide where you want to deploy, right? So everything you have to manage the infrastructure. If you're using on the cloud, right? So you have to manage whole infrastructure from your. So as a DevOps engineer, your responsibility to managing the infrastructure. They continuously learn and stay update with the latest industry trends and best practices. So the best practices are more important, right, to working while with the DevOps tools and everything, because best practices is more important while delivering the efficient product to for your customers and stakeholders, right? So these are the very, and they are responsible for monitoring performance, as I already discussed this thing, like how you monitor and everything. So this is your responsibility to monitor your application, and if you are finding some defects on that, it's your responsibility to collaborate with the development team or developers, and after that they will update those features and everything. That's the thing. So these are the some basic responsibilities for a DevOps engineer, how they handles and update those things. If I talk about market cap for a DevOps jobs, so I mean, I can say, right, here you can see this research DevOps market. So it's a like a research, right? So key market players in the industry, right? Broadcom, Microsoft, IBM, Atlassian, and Google. So these are the market players in the DevOps, right? As of now. So DevOps is not a whole the technology like other programming languages like Java, which we used to have C, and these are the languages, right? But DevOps came in picture, in 2019, and sorry, I mean 2009 and 8, right? So after that, there are lots of jobs in market, and I mean, I can check this graph, like you also can check this graph. So the market will go up, in the coming year also. So in 2018, 28. So what we are expecting, the market cap will be around 25.5 billion dollars. Okay, and right now the DevOps market is $10.4 billion, right, as of now. But how you can like you can see, right, you can analysis on that, the market of DevOps will go over the time. Okay, so these are the some case studies which is done on the DevOps market, and you can go through some of the market studies are there. So these are the market cap for DevOps jobs. So like in the future, you are definitely going to get more jobs in the DevOps field and cloud fields, because as of now, what the companies do, like some of the companies still have their workloads or their applications on the bare metal, like on they don't have on the cloud, right? So they are migrating on the cloud all the applications. So I mean, we are going to get more jobs on that, right? So we have to migrate those applications on the cloud to save the cost, okay, to save the maintenance, because cloud maintain your application, or they do the maintenance from their end. Okay, so that's why, I mean, every client wants to, migrate those applications on the cloud. So that's the thing. Yeah, so now the time for demo. So I'm going to show you some demo here. So what it is going to be, the demo. So the demo would be like that. What the tools we are going to use? We are going to use. Let me show you. So so we are going to build a CI/CD pipeline, right? So as I already have code for one of the web application where we get some output on the browser. So I have written my code in Java. Okay. So I have Java application. I have written my code in Java. And for Java, as I told you, like we have to build that application first. So we are going to use Maven for building application, or for releasing our application, we are going to use Jenkins. How you build the pipelines. Okay. So continuous integration, continuous deployment. So these are the two things which we usually use with the while releasing the application. So continuous integration, continuous deployment, and where we hosted our code, GitHub. So these are the four things we should aware about, like GitHub, where we are hosted our code, we have written the code in Java, we are going to build with the Maven, and we are going to release with the Jenkins. And the one more thing, where we are going to deploy. So there are some deployment servers, which is open source available, which is open source and available in the market. So you can use anything. You can deploy in Kubernetes. You can deploy on some other tools. So we are going to use Tomcat server. So JBoss also is there, right? So you can use JBoss also, but this is paid one. Okay, so this is enterprise level, so you have to pay for this tool for using. But this is open source, and you can use this tool to deploy your application. So we are going to use Tomcat for deploying our application. So this is going to be continuous integration, continuous deployment, complete CI/CD pipeline. It's going to be complete automation. There would be no manual thing. Okay. So let me tell you. Okay. So if we do the manual thing, what we have to do first? Right? So the developer will suppose like there is no DevOps. So what are the drawbacks we get without DevOps, right? So suppose there is no DevOps, how we can achieve this thing? So what you have to do, like developer, this is the developer, okay? He has to write the code on your on his system, local system, right? Then he can push the code on Git and GitHub, okay? He can push the code on GitHub, and after that, right? So that like suppose I want to test, right? So and I'm here for building, like the one person is for building and person for testing and one person for deployment. Okay, there might be multiple teams or multiple persons would be there to achieve the software development lifecycle for your application. So first, this is one more developer. Okay, so the developer will host that code on GitHub, and after that I clone that code on my system and I build that code. After building that code, I again push the updated code on the GitHub, and after that the testing team, okay, or the testing person, or whatever, like whosoever he will clone that code and again test on his system. Okay, and after testing he will generate some reports, and he will share the reports manually. I mean, he doesn't use any tools and everything. He suppose he manually share the reports to deployment person. Okay, so he will share some reports. If it is everything okay, then deployment person will deploy your application on the servers. And if there is something fishy or something wrong, right, so with that application, so again he will update that person who built that code, and who built that code, right, he again update that person. So there is a very lengthy or messy thing, right, without DevOps, right? But with the DevOps, right, what we can achieve, just you can create everything is a continuous, everything is automate, and just you have to once the developer update the code, and we create let me show you here, like for example, developer, he is a developer, okay, and he is developer, he updated the feature on GitHub. Okay, once he updated the feature, we create some automation scripts or automation pipelines, CI/CD pipelines. Through there, right, we deploy our application automatically to the servers. Okay, to the servers automatically we deploy to the servers. So we don't need any testers. We don't need any deployment person. We don't need any build person. Just we write the code. We write the pipelines, and with that pipeline, we can build everything automatically. We can build everything. We can do the testing automatically. So everything would be continuous in that case. So let me show you that thing. Okay. So it's time for demo. Just a second. Let me share. Okay. So as a developer, right? So as a developer, I have this source code for my application, right? I don't need to go in coding actually. As a DevOps engineer, I don't need to worry about coding. It's a task of developer how they do the coding and everything. Okay. So I have this code. I have written this code. This is a Java application where I'm this is my Java web application, and here this is my index.jsp file where I want to get the result. This is the result which I want to get on browser directly with that access. So what I will do, I have written this application, and if I had to do the manual thing, right, what I have to do, I have to install everything like Java, then Maven. So there are some Maven commands actually we use to build that application. So this is the command Maven clean and install. Okay. So let me just do that. So yeah. So how you manually build your application? So this is the command which we use, right, to build that Maven commands and all. So this is the command. This is failing right now because due to some issues, but I'm just showing you how you build that application manually. But we are not going to do it manually. We are going to do with the CI/CD pipelines. Okay. So for that, I have application code, which is I already pushed on my GitHub repository. So I have hosted my application on GitHub. Okay, so this is my GitHub repository where I have already pushed my code. Okay, this is my GitHub URL. So I'll copy this GitHub URL. Okay, and this is my code. Everything is there. And apart from that, okay, so I have already installed Maven in my system to build that code. But I won't use my local system. I will use my server. So I have my server running on localhost. So let me show you that. Just a second. Yeah. So this is my Jenkins server which I'm running right now. So this is my Jenkins. Okay. So this is the tool which you have to configure for releasing your application. So let me just type in my username password. So this is my username and password. Let me log in. So I have logged in my server, and here what you have to do, you have to build your application. But before building, you should have configured your Tomcat server, because where you are going to deploy your application, right? So this is my Tomcat server, which is already running. Okay, so let me log it out. So I'm running my Tomcat server on 8080 port. So this is the port number where I'm running. This is the Tomcat server where I will deploy my application. But right now, here you can see, right, after login in the manager app, so I can't see any resources available as a application or anything, right? As of now, I don't have. But after deploying my application, there would be one more, resource available. Whatever the app name or whatever the application name which you are going to create, right? So it would be available after deploying that. So here my code is there, and how you can set up. So just go to new item. Okay, give some name for your application. For example, I'm just going to DevOps demo. Okay, and create freestyle project. So there are multiple projects, but as of now, as a basic, we are going to with freestyle project. We have a pipeline, we have a multi-contribution project, but we are not going in this right now. And freestyle project will create, and you have to specify like source code management you are using. So yes, we are using source code management. What is the GitHub URL name? So this is my GitHub URL name. Okay, I have given this. Okay, so this is my public repository. That's why we don't need any credentials, but it would have a private repository. Then you would have that credentials part also. So how you can set up the credentials, like you have to create those from here, and you can just create a username and password with that, with the GitHub. So this thing you can do, but we don't have right now because we have a public repository as of now. And this is the branch name. So let me check my branch name. What is the branch name? So my branch name is master branch. Okay? So I'm specifying my branch name is a master branch. After specifying branch name and all, as I already configured Maven on that. So what I have to use? I have to use build step. So how you are going to build? So there is a command. Yeah. So Maven, as I said, right? So we have a Maven tool to already install, and the command which we are going to use, Maven install, because we are going to build our application, right? So for this, actually, we have some commands. So I'm going to use install. So it will, what it will do, it will generate some artifacts. Artifacts means executable files, and you can run those executable files on the web application directly. So clean install there, and after post build action, you have to deploy, right? So deploy, and what is the file name? So I mean, after building the application, it will generate one file. That name is war file. The extension is war. So I'm just using regular expression for that. So it will automatically identify that. So whatever the name it is, and it will end with the .or. So that's what I'm using regular expression for that. And context path. So what would be the application name for you? So you can write anything, my app. Okay. So right now, as you can see, right. So I don't have any my app here. Okay. But okay. But here I'm contexting the path, like the application name should be my app. Okay. And you can define what versions of as I said, JBoss. So you can install on JBoss also. But what version of Tomcat you are using? So you have to specify for that. So yeah, so we have a 9 Tomcat 9 version. Okay, so for that also, as you are running the Tomcat, right, and there would be some specific username and password for your application also, right, for Tomcat application. For that, you have to create one credentials in the Jenkins. So how you can create the credentials? Let me show you. Let me show. So here in the manage Jenkins, here's the part of credential. Okay, so in the credential part, you have a one credentials. This is Tomcat manager, which I already created for my Tomcat server. Okay, so I have already created this credentials, and I'm going to use that the same credentials for my application. So yeah, so in the dashboard again, let me go to the DevOps project, and here's the configure part is there. Yeah, so yeah, so this is my context, my app, anything, and this is Tomcat manager credentials I'm using, and the URL, URL of your application. Like I'm running on my local system, so my IP address is this, and the port number on which it is running, so which is 8080. Okay, and that's all. That's all you have to configure it with this Jenkins, and after that you can do build now. So you have to build that. Okay, so it's building. Here you can see in the down, it's building right now. It's building. You can see the time it's building. I mean, it's a UST time zone, so you are seeing the different time zone. But yeah, it's building now. See, we can see the output also, how it's built. Yeah, so here we can see console output. We got successful running this pipeline. And here you can see the logs and everything, how it's running. So firstly, it's building that the project. Here you can see, right, scanning the project and building that project. So it's build that project first, and after the building, it's attempting to deploy, and it's deploying the application on Tomcat 9. Here you can see in the deployment, and the finished status is success. So it successfully deployed our application on Tomcat. Let me check on Tomcat server. So application came in now. Okay, so let me refresh it. Yeah, here you can see, right? The app application is came here, and this is the app. Previously we don't have that, right? And right now we can check. So directly click on that. Let me click on that. Yeah, see this, the same output we are getting on the browser right now. So how, for example, like you just you can think like that, I'm the user and I'm accessing your application from outside. Okay, so this is your application. This is a simple application. This is the demo for DevOps actually I created. So that's why this is just text based that I'm using the text based presentation. So that's all. I think that's the demo actually I wanted to show you. And this is the everything is automated, right? But if it would have a manual thing, right? So as I already do, what you have to do, you have to do like everything manually. You have to test that, build that, and then copy that stage 1 to stage 2, like that. You have to do everything like manually. So yeah, I think any questions, guys? I think I'm good from my end. I've shown you that demo.
Yeah, thank you, sir. First of all, before we go to the questions, yes, we have few questions. But before we go to the questions, I'd like to thank you so much for coming in, for joining in, for giving your time, and for this insightful presentation, sir. Thank you so much. And sir, we have a few questions that has come from the registrants. So can I take them up?
Yeah, sure. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Okay. So this question came from Viraha. So it says, what are the common challenges faced by teams when they work in DevOps, and how do you overcome that?
Okay, so basically the challenges we get while working with the teams. So I mean the miscommunication sometimes, because you are working with the different teams, right? So as you are working with the different projects, I mean if you are working in the same project also, you would have a different teams, right? So there can be some miscommunication regarding some task or some related to some things which you are working in the project. So I mean, the miscommunication is one part, and might be the collaboration is not there, right? So sometimes in DevOps actually, but always like DevOps came in picture with the collaboration also. So it's bridged the gap between the developer and operation team. So that's why we have DevOps, but sometimes we have a misunderstanding and
Yeah.
we don't have the collaboration with the teams. Yeah, I mean that's the challenges we face usually.
Yeah, I think these are the normal challenges that may be faced in every stream and everywhere, right? Every job. Thank you,
That's
sir. Yeah. Sir, we have another question. So this question is from an anonymous attendee, and it says, what are those emerging trends and technologies that we can see further in DevOps?
Okay. So, I mean, as we can see, right, we are going with the technologies right now, and everything is automate right now. We don't approach the manual things. Okay. So this is not limited to the specific tools right now, because in a DevOps market, in some days, like the next day, in the next week, every time we have a new technology. Like you might not be aware about the technology. Like for monitoring, actually, we have came up some of the new tools like Datadog, APM, New Relic. So these are the tools, but it depends on the requirements which we usually have in the project size to which you want to use. You should have the study like case study on that, and then you can decide which tools you can use and all. So I mean as we are growing right in the IT industry, so always we have to ready like with the new technologies tools.
Yeah. And sir, this question is again from an anonymous attendee, and it says, what are those courses that we can do before we jump into the DevOps?
So I would say if you are going with the DevOps, right? So you should have a good understanding on the Linux environments, because usually we have the DevOps tools and everything already like written in some of the Linux environments only. So because of the security, actually we prefer on our Linux environment. So you should have a good understanding on Linux first, and then after you can go with the DevOps, because on the cloud, or if you see on the cloud or on the DevOps, right? So the tools which we use with the Linux environments. So either it can be, Ubuntu, Red Hat. So I mean, you can start with the Linux first, and then go further with the Git and GitHub, Docker containers, and yeah, I mean, yes, further on more.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. And with this, I think we have our last question. And before I move on to this question, I'd like to ask participants, if you have any query, any question, you can post in chat box or Q&A box so that we can take up your question. And just in a moment, yeah. So, sir, this question came from Radha Sharma, and it says, what are those examples of the organizations that has used DevOps and has seen the growth?
Yeah, there are lots of organizations. I mean, as I already told you, like Broadcom, Google, Microsoft, I mean, they are using DevOps approaches, So the market, it's already going with these organizations only. So, I mean, they are using DevOps approaches and clouds approaches with the DevOps. Okay. So, I mean, yeah, there are lots of examples of the organizations of which they are using DevOps and teams.
Yeah, I think all these are recognized companies. They're using the DevOps. So I think it's the next technique of the generation, the DevOps is. And sir, we're done with the
Yeah.
questions. With this, I would like to thank you, sir. Extend my thanks to you for coming in, for giving in your time, your experience, your knowledge to us, to all the participants. And now I would like to request anyone, if you have any question, you can just post in Q&A or chat box. If not, then I will ask your permission, sir, to wrap this webinar up. Can I?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, sir. So, since we do not have any queries, I would just last conclude by saying you can come in here in lovely professional university and you can experience all the new technologies, and we have all the tie-ups with all different companies here. So you can just explore, you can come in, you can learn things. And with this, I thank you all the participants for coming in, for giving in your questions. So until next webinar, stay safe, stay healthy, and thank you so much for joining in. And thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am, for joining in the webinar.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.